Hi, my name is Ed Wehan, and I'd like to welcome you today to this episode of Our Ventura. I'm really pleased to have with me today City of Ventura Council member and our Deputy Mayor, Erik Nasarenko. Erik, thanks for being with us today.
It's great to be here today, Ed.
So you're sort of the new guy on our Monday nights at City Council, and I'm sure, given that, although you've been there a little while now, you've seen a lot happen and have a really good perspective of everything that's happening. Let's take a look, I guess, at some of the issues that seem to be pertinent to the city now, to you personally, and probably to all of us, and one has to do with the charter amendments, the election cycles, and the changes that are happening there. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
I'd be happy to. Our elections in Ventura are governed by a charter. It's sort of the city's constitution. And that document says we're going to have right now our elections on off years, 2011, 2013. What that means, Ed, is that sometimes we are the only entity on your ballot. That's a very expensive proposition because we don't have anyone with whom to share the costs.
Right.
So if we move the charter, this governing document, to even years, we'll consolidate our elections with the president, with the governor, with congressional seats, statewide initiatives, and also enjoy cost sharing. So what will come before the voters in a month or so is the proposition of, hey, let's save money and let's increase voter participation by moving our charter to an even year cycle. It's measures D and E. E is for the Board of Education, because right now under our charter, Ed, the Board of Education is on the same election schedule as the city. So if we move to the even years, we would also want the Board of Education to do the same. And when you move to these even years, you not only save about $140,000 each election, but you also get substantially greater turnout.
Right. And there, as I see it, there really isn't too much downside to that. There's not much happening against this issue.
There's really no organized campaign against measures D and E. There are some critics who feel that it'll make the process perhaps more political, that people will be less engaged because there will be more items on the ballot to select and choose from. But myself and the majority of the council disagree.
Sure. As does the school board.
As does the school board.
Right.
We want people to participate.
Right.
And if we get their attention by putting our elections on the same ballot as all these other high-profile elections, all the better.
And I agree with you. Let's talk for a second about the obvious, which is water here in Ventura. We're in a significant drought. It's been a challenge. Council has taken some action in that area, and there's a couple different issues here, but maybe you could address what is happening in that area.
Sure. So unlike a lot of other regions, we receive our water from local independent sources. We don't get it from the High Sierras through Owens Valley. We don't get it through the Metropolitan Water District, through the Colorado River. What we do is we capitalize on Lake Casitas, the Ventura River, and on groundwater basins. Now, those three water sources are substantially depleted because we're in virtually an unprecedented drought. So what the council has done, because a state mandate requires us to do so, is adopt an emergency moratorium that says, people in Ventura, you have to water before 9 a.m. and after 6 p.m. for evaporation reasons.
Sure.
If you do it during the hottest parts of the day, the water's evaporating more than it would in the evenings and the early mornings. And also, you can only do it twice a week.
Right.
I know myself, I'm only doing it twice a week now. It's a conservation measure, and it goes along with other emergency ordinance requirements, such as if you water, try not to get the water on the curbs and the sidewalks so it runs off into the gutters. Try to get it onto your lawn or what it is you're watering. You can't hose down your driveway anymore with a nozzle.
Right.
And restaurants and other places that serve water, they can only do so upon request. So that's also part of the ordinance.
Car washes?
Car washes are still okay, but you know, if you take your car to a car wash, you're actually saving a little more water than if you do it yourself
Right.
at home.
Yeah, there's trade-offs everywhere.
There are.
The other part of the water issue, obviously, is city infrastructure.
Yeah.
Let's face it, we're an aging city, and changes need to be made, investments need to be made. What is happening in that area?
Thank you for asking that question, Ed. Just in way of comparison, Thousand Oaks celebrated its 50-year anniversary. So they were incorporated in 1964. Ventura was incorporated as a city in 1866. So you can imagine how substantially older our infrastructure is because we're simply, as you mentioned, an older
Yeah.
city. So what the council did as a recommendation put forward by staff is we need to take care of this infrastructure so water mains don't break, so sewer lines don't rupture, and so that our treatment plants are operating properly. So recently a $47 million bond was issued for water and wastewater to address long-term our infrastructure so that our children and their children will have a solid foundation by which water will flow and wastewater will be treated.
It's interesting. I'm sure there'll be some disruption within the city, but it's probably good disruption at this point in time. It's a necessary part of the whole thing.
It is, and we anticipate that about 80% of those capital improvement projects will be done within about 4 years.
Okay.
So in anticipation of these bonds being issued, Public Works and Ventura Water have begun to lay the groundwork, if you will, so that when the money becomes available, we'll be poised to move forward.
Good. The other area where obviously many of us have an interest and a passion, and I certainly do, and that's with the city parks, our recreation programs, everything that's happening there. We have a lot of needs here in the city, and I know when you were running for office, you were a major advocate of what we needed to do and how we could move forward. How can we? Where are we going, and what can be done?
Well, first I want to thank you for your service to the Park and Recs Commission. It's because of volunteers like you that we have such a thriving and robust park system. I was out at Ventura Community Park just last week. I like to go there to check on the status of the softball and soccer field that is now being developed behind the Ventura Toyota Center and Auto Center softball fields. And there was a couple there, Ed, and they marveled at, wow, this is great. We love to see the city making progress. And when you go there and you see the backstop going up and you see the grading taking place, you realize that there will be more sports opportunities for softball players, for soccer players. And it's the city putting into action a new sports complex that'll help citywide, not just on the east end. So that's a positive development. I have given a little over $3,000 my paycheck because I very much want to see a new playground at Ventura Community Park. You may recall there was a master plan, and that master plan called for 2 playgrounds, but we simply ran out of funding for both. So I'm hoping that with my contributions, other contributions will emerge. And the idea is, while children are waiting for the soccer game or waiting to get into the splash pool at the aquatic center, that there should be an area where they can go on the playground and their parents can kind of relax and watch them. So long term, it's my desire to have a playground at that site, but playgrounds aren't cheap.
Right.
They cost about $150,000, $160,000. So it's going to be a work in progress.
Let alone maintenance.
Let alone maintenance. Absolutely right.
Yeah. Have we thought at all about, a Parks Foundation, an organization that could be a fundraising arm going out there, or any thought or discussion about a parcel tax to help fund parks and stuff?
There has been discussions about a sales tax. Our sales tax here is 7.5%.
Right.
Oxnard in comparison is 8%, as is Santa Barbara. Just with a half-cent sales tax increase, that would substantially increase the amount of revenue that the city would have for police, fire, parks, road repaving. So there's been discussions about that possibility, nothing concrete.
Sure.
Elena Brokaw, the head of our Parks, Rec, and Community Partnership Department, does in fact have a foundation. That's where I'm contributing my paycheck.
Right.
And it's a 501, it's
Right.
nonprofit, it's tax deductible. And also, while we work on the East End, there's been amazing progress on the West End, as you know, Ed, with the development of Kellogg Park, the Trust for Public Land, Kaiser Permanente, the city, entities like CAUSE. They've all come together to create this site and to make it into a new destination for children and families on the West End.
Sure, yeah, and that's been a great investment in time and energy by the city, I think, and beloved by the people on the West Side. One of the things I think that Ventura has so much strength is our tourism. We have a very capable visitor and convention bureau, and it seems like things are improving every year. Your thoughts on that, Eric?
I agree, Ed. We've had the most profitable year in terms of TOT, transient occupancy taxes. That's the amount of tax
Right.
that we collect when people stay in our hotels and motels. We have a dynamic executive director at the Ventura Convention Bureau.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we have so many attributes that draw people. You think about the Ventura Botanical Gardens and what
Right.
they're doing above City Hall. There will be a 12 concert series next summer above City Hall as well in that parking lot.
Right.
You think about the Rubicon, the Museum of Ventura County, the Mission, the restaurants, all the attractions at the pier under the stars. All these amenities bring people to Ventura. Now you have to manage it. It has to be done as part of a balanced approach.
Right.
But Ventura is a destination for people who, one, want to leave the heat of other communities,
Right.
but who also want to enjoy a family-oriented beach community that really has a pleasant and a welcoming vibe.
Yep. And I think Ventura just fits that so well. And one of the things I think that's helped in that area, and I think you've been involved in this a little bit, is the Ventura River Parkway, which has become increasingly established, and it recently got recognition as a national recreational trail. And maybe a quick comment on that. And
Thank you for mentioning the Ventura River, because that too is a destination for visitors.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
it's an economic engine, frankly. The idea that at some point, as we keep moving forward, people can kayak entirely down the river into the mouth of the Pacific, that there would be dedicated foot trails all along that river. It was great to have Representative Julia Brownlee coming forward to help with that designation, and to the entire nonprofit community that helped make it possible. When you look at the Ventura River, it has so many natural amenities.
it does.
From estuaries to wetlands to wildlife. It can be not just a point of recreation, but also an area of solace and reflection.
Yeah.
And it's just a great asset we have right here in our own backyard.
And it's got a great history.
It
So.
does.
Well, we've taken up our time here, and I know that we could go on for another 15, 20, 30 minutes, but I do want to thank you so much for spending your time with us here today. And I want to thank all of you for watching this program, and I hope you enjoyed it. We'll look forward to seeing you next time at Our Ventura.